Welcome back to my channel. This is Alicia Creates and I'm Alicia. I don't know why I always do this, but I'm just gonna roll with it. So this is the first kind of like vlog style writing video. I'm trying to do all this before my boyfriend gets home because I want to see him and spend some time with him. So we'll see how much I get done. Um, I've been doing kind of a back and forth like edit other videos. I know this is like the first vlog video, but I had other videos I needed to edit. So I was vlogging. I was editing and cleaning, editing, cleaning, editing, cleaning, back and forth, back and forth. But anyway, as I promised, I guess yesterday at this point, is today I was going to go over the apocalyptic book and where I started, where I'm at now, and what I plan to do or work on today. So it started off, the point of view is in, do I want to say character names? I'm going to, okay, so I'm not gonna give exact. So I started off doing something really weird with the point of view. I don't know why. So I started off, I had the main character being a guy who's still in the book. He's still a very strong part of the book, very much. You'll see if I end up doing anything with the book and you get to read it. But he's still very much a strong part of the book. And when I release it or when you get to see it, I'll let you know what was going on and I'll give more names and maybe like reference this later. But this ended up, hold on, I gotta get comfortable. So I started off, the book was, the main point of view was from a guy's point of view who's still, like I said, a very strong part of the book. And I don't know why I started off in his, but it was kind of, it was like third person. Sorry. It was third person from this guy's point of view with like mild point of view changes because there were so many characters. So it started off with in his point of view, and then when he was introduced to other characters, I would mildly switch to other characters' point of views depending on if he wasn't around them and I wanted you to see what was going on with them, then I would switch to theirs and still do third person. But then I realized I didn't care for that, and I didn't care for that point of view. Like, I didn't care for writing it, and that's just not what I was wanting, and that's not the kind of books I like to read. And then I realized that there was a character in it that I wanted their point of view more, and I realized I could do so much more with the story if I followed her point of view. So I, after writing like 50 or 60,000 words, and I don't just mean like one rough draft, like start to finish, like writing. I mean like I would write like a good bit. Well, I'd write about a chapter or a couple of pages, like a thought process. And then I'd go back and I would do a mild edit of like fixing the layout and like minor grammar and spelling checks and maybe some very mild plot editing. Just a very mild skim through, very mild, just once over. And then to kind of help set the mood for when I would go back to writing. So everything had been done over basically twice at that point. So I did the 60,000 and then I edited it basically at least once. And then I got through with that and I was like, I'm not liking the vibe. So I went all the way up to the point where the character I wanted to have the point of view from started. And I kind of chopped it there and I removed all the rest of it. I put it in a different Word document in case I wanted to like get inspiration from it at a different point. And I took that other part, and I moved it to another Word document as well. And I started writing from her point of view. And again, I did third person. And I wrote all the way up until what I had written previously. And then I fixed it all to match like her point of view instead of his. And then when I fixed all of that, I read through it all again and I was like, this still isn't what I want. This still isn't what I want. And I thought about it and I was like, it needs to be first person. So I went through and I re-edited all of it and made it first person, and I was like, this is exactly what I want. So that took a while. That took a lot of work. But I'm glad I did it, because if I know they always say don't edit, just write, but if I had just went through it written without ever stopping and editing, I would have, because like I said, I want to like have the beginning of the story to the end of the story all the way through. and done and then chop it up into books. And if I had done that, then I would have had the wrong point of view, just everything wrong. And I would have been a disaster. So that's why I'm kind of doing like very mild edits as I go through. So I'm very glad I did that because it is exactly where I want to be and exactly what I want it to be right now. But it follows the story of a girl. Don't want to give her name away. I'm gonna call her, I guess her best friend you could kind of call JJ. So I'm gonna call her CJ, even though her second initial is not J. I'm just, for shorthand, I'm gonna call her CJ. Just, I know CJ isn't usually something used, a term or initials used for a girl, but I'm just, in this, we're gonna call her CJ for short, for a code name. She is gonna be CJ, and her best friend is gonna be JJ. And he is Mel. He's kind of sort of her brother, but not really. Like best friend, kind of brother. It gets explained in the book. But yeah, how much do I want to tell you? Pretty much it starts off, because I always kind of hate a lot of zombie apocalypse or any apocalyptic shows or movies or books kind of start with it already, you're in it. You're in it, or it's already started, and I'm like, I want to see the beginning of it. That, or you are in kind of an important person's point of view, so you're seeing how it began. And I have it starting from just kind of a random person in the middle of nowhere. So they're watching the news. So she goes to visit her parents. They're watching the news, and it's, at first it starts off very mild, and I don't want to give how I have it starting either, but it's starting in a way where I have it starting on the coasts. So because of her job, she travels. So she was supposed to be in Louisiana, and her situation, her job got canceled. So she went to go visit her family because she wasn't too far from her family. And it got canceled because there was some weird sickness going on in Louisiana, which was the zombie thing, but people didn't realize that's what it was. It started off in Louisiana, and then it started to happen in Florida and, other coasts. But because they live in the South and they're watching like more local news, they hear about Louisiana and Florida kind of first. It's like their main local stuff that they're hearing about. So Louisiana, Florida is like their main ones. And they're watching the news and they're like, oh my god, like people are getting sick, people are attacking each other, and when police are called, like the sick people or the random illness, whatever, like people are attacking them and biting them and this, that, and the other, and people don't know what's going on. And then it just proceedingly, every time they watch the news, gets worse and worse and worse, and to the point that at one point the news is telling them to get to the city if they can, otherwise to like stay in location and not travel otherwise. And then they're like, not too long later, they're like, never mind, do not come to the city, we no longer have supplies for you, like do not travel, like it's no longer safe here. And like the news person is really just like, at one point the news person's really distraught, and you get to see some kind of crazy messed up stuff happen on the news to the news anchor. And then there's just kind of a basic, like, nope, not a person, and it's like an automated voice, like it's like kind of like when there's like an emergency, it's like, this is the National Weather System, please seek, shelter, like one of those kind of warnings goes off. And that's when they're like, oh shit has hit the fan, which has already been really bad. But so that gets sorted out, and then a situation happens, and her and her family have to split ways for reasons. I'm not gonna say what the reasons are, so I don't want to give too much away. I just started to give a little too much, and I don't want to give too much. So she has to like part from her family. Some stuff happens. She ends up meeting up with a group of people. I don't want to say who is and isn't in the group, but she meets up with a group of people. She's with them for a while. They do have to move around a couple of times, and some stuff does go down. And by stuff, that is kind of an understatement, because that's probably the whole first book. And then everything else is going to be, that I say, is probably going to be the second book, honestly. But that their group, like the main group, they end up meeting another group, and it just kind of, it goes from there, and man, I'm trying to. I want this to sound good, but I don't want to give too much away. But essentially, ooh, I'm over 100,000 words into it, and I am about to go back to the point where she first meets that first group. Like, I mean, like, first introduction, like, first day, first second meets them. And I have a laundry list of things I want to adjust. It's gonna be the same pretty much. There's just like some tweaks I want to make. Like, I want to have them meet mildly differently. Okay. I want to meet a little differently in slightly different way, slightly different location, and just alter it a little bit because I was like I said, I listened to other books that are similar to what I'm writing to get me in the headspace. And when I was doing that, I ended up listening to a book that had a very similar scene to one of my scenes. And even though I wrote this probably a year before I'd listened at this point, a year before I'd listened to the book where it had the similar scene, if I end up going anywhere with this book, I don't want anyone to think that especially because at some point I'm gonna probably list all the books I listened to as I like worked on this. I don't want anyone to think I like plagiarized them, so I'm gonna change that scene. It's a whole thing. Which I know in the book community people say like no idea is authentic and people can have the same ideas. And in this situation, we very much did have very similar ideas. It was kind of eerie. I was listening to this and I was like, did you read my mind? But no, and it wasn't like a whole, oh, I their thought was at the back of my mind and that's why I wrote it because I had never heard of this author before. I had never read any of their stuff. This was truly like I was digging at the bottom of the barrel, looking for like not very um commonly recommended authors and these kind of like apocalyptic books when I was listening to this stuff. So it really was just an accident. So I want to change this. It's going to be a lot of work. And then when I was thinking about changing it, I actually ended up having a bunch of other ideas. So that's what you're going to see today. And then when I get done with that, as I work on other stuff, maybe I'll give you some more ideas of where other stuff is going in my book. I also, um, because where I live, I lived at one point, I lived in I still kind of live in the middle of nowhere because I live in the South and pretty much, unless you live in a major city, you live in the middle of nowhere. But when I was younger, I lived really in the middle of nowhere compared to where I live now, and my closest neighbor was a very long ways away. If you were walking for a while, but they were, it was so long ago, I truly cannot remember if they were, I want to say they were Mennonite. I think they were Mennonite. But around here, we have a couple of Amish, and then we have some lovely Mennonite people that have like little stores and just little communities. And I wanted to kind of write not like any main characters or anything. I just thought it'd be interesting to kind of have them in the background of a couple in one of the communities. So I just think that's kind of like a fun like I have them there because for them nothing because of the situation of that location of that community for them nothing's really changed honestly. So I mean I don't know a lot about their lifestyle. I know a little bit because I lived near them when I was younger, and then but I'm trying to learn a little bit more. But like I said, I'm not writing so much about them because I don't know that much about them. I'm trying not to dig myself into a word hole here, but at the same time, I'm also wanting to include them because I think it's really interesting. Is that wrong? Is that wrong? Whatever. I'm doing my best to educate myself. I would love to sit down and speak with some people, but I don't know how to do that. But yeah, I'm doing the best I can to learn and make it as respectful as possible. But like I said, they're just more kind of background characters kind of in there. And I don't have any specific characters. It's just kind of a mention of people being there and looking certain ways and just the community. So I'm trying to be very vague in the situation, but I just think it'd be really an interesting situation that you don't, at least I've not read of or seen in other things. And I'm just like, I feel like if anyone's gonna be present, they would be, because like nothing's gonna really change for them, right? Am I wrong? I don't know. If you want to educate me on how stupid I am and how wrong I am about that thought process, let me know and I'll work on it. But I'm still doing research. I could end up taking this out of my book. I just think that's a fun idea. I don't know. Again, I'm trying to be as respectful as possible. I'm just really bad at wording things. Everything I'm saying, even if it sounds not worded well, I mean it with full respect. But I'm gonna move on because yikes. Okay, yeah, I think that was everything I wanted to give an update on up to the point where I'm changing my plot. Like I said, I'm gonna, as I write more, I'm gonna give you more information about later on. But yeah, I'm super excited. There is, okay, so it's apocalyptic situation, but there is still gonna be some romance, which of course, if I mention that, some people are gonna be like, ugh. Like zombies, ugh, romance, ugh. But I enjoy it. Like, who doesn't want to see someone lose everything and everyone they love and then find something in the end of the world, you know? Like, something. I think that's nice. I think that's lovely. But anyway, I'm going to get started. I'm going to try to figure out a way to get my camera at a good angle. I have a tripod and I have a proper camera. However, the attachment for the tripod is somewhere in a box and it's a mess how this is set up right now. I do apologize. And also at some point, I'm going to have to charge my battery and upload the memory. So, and I don't have a lot of time to write. So I'm going to do as much as I can. And I'm going to update you when I can. And maybe I'll try to have my phone set up where you can see it and have like a timer for like how long I've been writing. We'll see. So I'll be right back. Before I get started, you can't see it because it's on the other screen, but I had to make a sticky note with all of my characters' names listed on it, and then the page number at which they got introduced, and then the page number at which they got killed off, if they get killed off, because I'd be writing and I'd forget if they were dead or not. And I'd be like, I don't know if this character's alive, so I'd be like, are they in this group right now? Because at one point there's like a lot going on. I mean, if you're like, once I've read back through it, like if you're just reading it, it's fine, like you can keep track of the characters. But when you're writing it and you're creating it and you're figuring out, it's a lot. It's a lot of moving pieces. And it makes my head hurt. I heard a door shut. I think my boyfriend might be home and I haven't even written yet. Oopsie doopsie. That's okay. I think he's gonna work out, so I'll have like an hour to write. Oopsie doopsie. It'll become more cinematic later, and the background will look better later as well. So I do apologize. It doesn't look the best right now. Anyway, I need to figure out this stuff. Let me set a little timer so you can see. Or a little stopwatch. Different. So I want them to like speak a little different, have a little different twang to their voice. Each person just a little different. So that's why I wanted to really go through, and if I was reading one character, I wanted to go through and read just their spots, just their parts, and see if they sounded the same. So that's why you're gonna see some weird highlighted bits. So I'm currently trying to find where I need to start editing, and I just got to a spot where somebody swallowed a worm, and I was like, alright. I just got to a crazy. I know it's the timer, but like I just read a part that I forgot about. I'm like, ah! Okay, I found where I need to start editing, so I need to start editing. Ugh. Also, word count before I do start editing. This is how many words I have. Now edit. So 5 minutes of lollygagging. I need to. Ugh. So I just took a small break, and by small, I mean it's been a couple of hours. My boyfriend got home at 5-ish, and it is now 8. He got home. We went and we picked up a pizza, and we watched some TV and ate. He's now working out, and I'm going to go back to writing for about an hour or so. I do have work tomorrow, but only for 4 hours. So I can stay up for a little bit, but not super late, but a little later than usual, so it's not so bad. So yeah, I'm gonna hop to it. Okay, so quick update. Been about 20 minutes in total. I guess you can't really see it when I lean forward. I don't know if you can see it regularly. And it's been about 20 minutes, and I know like 13 minutes of that was me just kind of BSing around and looking for where I need to be and like thinking and stuff. But I have written about 100 words. I'm not mad about that, so I'm gonna keep going. So I've reached a weird spot. So I'm changing some of my characters around, like some of their traits, and then also just almost like I'm swapping the characters, just who they are in general, around. And I'm doing that in the same spot that I'm doing this edit. And the question is, do I want to just do the edit where I add the stuff that I'm adding and just kind of like keep the characters as they are for now and then go back and then change how I describe the characters and who they are? Or do I want to do both at the same time? Because I feel like if I do both at the same time, it's going to be a lot for my brain to like process. I think I'm going to try to just focus on the main one and pretend like I'm not changing the characters right now and then go back and change the characters. So I think that's how I'm going to do it. I've come to another situation. Oh no, my timer. Come to another situation. I'd had him previously staying like in the yard of a house, and now I'm having them stay at a different property where they are staying in the house, but it's also summertime. So I feel like the scenes where they're like sitting outside in camping chairs and like fire pits and all that kind of stuff isn't that weird because like it's gonna be hot and in the middle of the day you're not gonna want to be inside when it's like not air conditioned. So I feel like that's not that weird. I mean, we do it here. So yeah, I think I'm gonna leave some of that. Some of the scenes I might move inside later. So yeah, I think I'm gonna keep some of those for now. Yeah. If you see the numbers kind of jump around, I'm going to be turning my camera on and off because I have to kind of like read through a lot and find where I need to edit. So that's why. But I'm going to keep the timer going so you can kind of see where I'm at. You guys, I don't know if you just if I kept it in the video where I had it like the aqua blue highlighted bit that I just turned black just now, but I had it highlighted because I just quickly added it because I needed to add it because I forgot to add that scene, and I did that to remind myself to go back to edit it because I just chunked it in there, and I forgot all about this. It's so sad. And I've gotten to it now, and I need to just give it a quick edit to make sure it fits, but it's so sad. He's such a sweet character, and I give him such a messed up storyline. I feel so bad for him. It's so oh. Mm. So if my book ever gets to where people get to read it, and the scene stays, the scene with um where the main character and this one guy are sitting on the porch when they're on the farm talking about his family leaving. I can't give I was gonna say more specific details, but I feel like that's enough if it gets read and it's been like years into the making and you know what I'm talking about. It's so sad. Anyway, my battery is blinking. I'm gonna charge it and do a little bit more typing, and then I will update you when I get back from charging my battery. So the final verdict is I started off with 111,145 words. I'm gonna just pop that right here on the screen so you can see what that looks like. I ended up with 111,260 words for a whopping total of 115 words in the span of an hour and 15 minutes. However, I had to do a lot of editing, so I did subtract a lot of words. I added a lot more than 100 and how many did I just say? 100 and I added a lot more than 115 words. But because of the editing, I did get rid of a lot of words, so it looks like a lot less. So it looks like I didn't do a lot of work in an hour and 15 minutes. But it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how far I got. Like I said, I had to like go through and find where I needed to start the editing process, but I found it. I have it marked down, and as I'm going through, I'm making notes for what I want to go through and do later. Because, like I said, there's some like character stuff I want to change, but for right now, I'm just doing this, working on the storyline and adding that part, and then I'm gonna go through and add the character parts after. And then when I get done doing all of that, I'm probably gonna go like a chapter ahead, read through all of it all the way to like maybe a chapter after where I finish the editing and see if that makes sense. But it's gonna be a while. I started off on page 30, no, on page 19, and I ended on page 33, like right at the beginning of page 33, and I think I started like halfway or at the very top of page 19. So that's how many pages I got through. But I did add some good chunks of text and I changed a lot. But yeah, that's where I ended up 115 words in an hour and 15 minutes. Um, but yeah, it should go a lot faster now that I know where I'm at and what I need to change. But yeah, I think after all of this editing is done, unless the inspiration to keep going with this particular book is done, I might move on to the Monster Hunter one. Like I said, working on this one, it has given me some ideas. There's some stuff I want to add. But once I get done with these main things I wanted to change, unless the inspiration is just still there for this particular book, I'll probably move on to the other one. But I don't know if that will be in this month of videos because it's gonna be a lot. I mean, I had a full day to work on this, and because of all the editing and everything, I really only got to work on my book for like an hour. So, but that shouldn't be, well, I say that shouldn't be an issue. I'm gonna have to keep editing videos, so it's probably gonna keep being an issue. But yeah, I'm gonna stop ranting because I gave you my update. I was gonna update you on like my cleaning and everything and my boxes. I have unloaded 0 boxes since the beginning of this. I've done a fair bit of cleaning, so there's that at least. But yeah, that's all of my updates. I will see you guys tomorrow. And thank you for sticking around.